October 11th, 2021. Approval of the minutes.
So moved as written.
A motion has been made.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any public input on the minutes? See none, I will call for a vote for approval. All those in favor? Motion carries. Second item on our agenda this evening is the manager's report. And before I turn that over to Bill, I would like to acknowledge that today is a holiday and our vice chair is going to make a brief statement.
Since today is recognized as Indigenous Peoples' Day in Maine, and as we celebrate our 200th birthday as a town, we all thought it was appropriate to really take a moment to acknowledge that the land we are gathered on and the lands our municipality serves are the ancestral lands of the Wabanaki people. As we together look to build a community that recognizes the value of each member's varying background, culture, and perspective, we recognize the importance of honoring the Indigenous people, their knowledge, and their collective support of one another. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I was going to defer first to the chair of our school board. Tyler McGinley is here tonight. She has an update for you for some requested information that you had, Mr. Chair.
All right. Good evening, Tyler.
Hello. I had onion soup tonight, so I'm going to take this off. Stinky. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes. I'll be very quick because everybody wants to get home for the game. Just like every sandwich shop, just like every corporate business, just like every delivery truck right now, everyone's struggling with staffing shortages. And so we are no different at the district. And so there are a couple of buckets that I just wanted to share. We share these socially, we share them in newsletters, we share them at our board meetings, but I figured this was another opportunity to share them. So thank you, Bob, for giving me the opportunity. So the first bucket is ed techs, and we currently are down 16 ed techs, which is a lot. Ed techs, surely you know they do everything. They do everything from helping teachers get a break to go to the bathroom and eat their lunch. They do everything from one-on-one support for students who need extra support. So not having 16 of them with every child in school right now and everybody coming from a different spot based off the last year is a lot. The minimum requirement is a 2-year degree for that. It is something that can be a good place to start in the school system, so we encourage anybody that's interested to inquire. The second bucket is daily and permanent subs. We used the permanent sub model last year, knowing that there was quarantines all the time and some staff were out, so we had permanent staff in the building that students got a relationship with. We need more of those. They pay $150 a day. It's a 4 to 5 day requirement. And then we also need daily subs, so people that can come kind of at a last minute, and those pay $100 a day. And then lastly, we need people to come and hang out during lunch and recess. So we need lunch aides and recess aides. It's 2 hours a day, and it can be as flexible as you need. If you want to come in 2 days a week and work 4 hours, it's a paid position, we can work with you. So please, the job descriptions are on the district website under employment opportunities. Anyone is happy to answer your questions at the central office, so please call the central office if you have questions. And then lastly, I just want to acknowledge we are still living and working with COVID. Public schools can be something that can be a little unknown for people, so I don't want anyone to be hesitant to ask questions about the COVID protocols. Everybody in our district's doing everything they can to make sure that our schools are safe and healthy, but if you're not working in a school, it can be a big unknown. So I just want to acknowledge that those questions are totally okay too. That's really it. I'm happy to, my ask of all of you is if you don't have the capacity to share it with 3 other people, that may. Just because we all know that if we don't have support staff and our teachers get burnt out, that ends up dominoing down to the kids, and it's only October. So it'd be great not to be burnt out this early in the year.
I just asked a quick question. You said that an ed tech requires a 2-year degree?
Yes.
Have you thought of reducing the requirements or maybe changing some of the positions to facilitate maybe some other people in the community?
So we have thought about that, actually came up in one of our last discussions about rethinking the position, because there's a lot of skills that go into that position. I am not Director of HR, so I'm here to just spread the word. A lot more of that, the detailed stuff goes into, those HR positions. But we did think about that, calling it something different, calling on social services skills more than just a 2-year degree. So there is some flexibility, but the state, it needs to be a larger conversation, more so just here.
Do you need the 2-year degree or 2 years of college?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to
I
that.
think it's 2 years of college, but I'm not sure.
That would provide more flexibility.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. They will know at the central
Okay.
office for sure.
Does the school district pay for their background checks?
No.
Okay.
But we should talk about that more, because those are some great ideas. It's that kind of thinking, renaming ed techs, paying for those type of fees. I will say that fingerprinting is super backed up, and that's been a challenge we've had with bus drivers and things like that. They're ready to work, but we can't get their fingerprints back. So there's a lot of weird things still going on, but ideas like that are what we're looking
Okay.
for too.
Where is this currently being advertised? You said it was in
So it's on
newsletters?
the website. It is in the district newsletter every Thursday. For those of you that don't get the district newsletter because you're not a parent or a caregiver in the district, you can sign up online. We've talked about figuring out a better way, maybe including it in the crier, a link to it so that it has a broader reach. It's been advertised in Schools Share. I think is that the name of the website that has all the teacher educational positions?
Yeah, I
can't
know
remember
what you're
it's
talking
called.
about. I've seen it
Social
on
media.
social media. I've
Um,
seen it on social media.
But we can do more, and I think word of mouth helps a lot, too.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, is that all?
Good
Thank you so
luck.
much.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
The other two items I just wanted to share briefly, the Special Waste Day this past weekend at the Public Works Facility was a huge success. It's amazing how much material came in, and something we should think about during the budget process, because basically they filled up the truck, had to leave boxes and boxes here that basically they had to come back for, and it was 2 tractor-trailer trucks that they'd filled up, and it was a lot of TVs and computers and electronic stuff. It was amazing.
How long since we have done it, Bill?
It's probably been at least 2, if not 3 years,
I
Mike.
think 3, yeah.
I'm thinking it was 3 because of the pandemic, too. So it might have been scheduled last year, but everybody, some of the stuff was huge, unbelievable.
Bill, how much did it cost us?
I don't have the final numbers yet. I hope to have them by the next meeting.
So
and for
it's
the finance
it's
committee
based
meeting.
off of weight?
Weight and how much they can recycle. A lot of that stuff is recyclable. They break down and they do get, it wasn't, I think it was $3,000 to $5,000 in that ballpark. But if you could have seen the amount of material that went out of there. I mean, we're not talking hazardous waste now. We're talking TVs, computers, electronics that, really can't just go out in the trash. And it was good to see that we got it separated, that it didn't end up at EcoMaine. It was going to recycling sites. It was kind of an all hands on deck. We probably had a dozen people there. EcoMaine was handing out stuff on what you can and can't recycle there. That was nice. That was the last minute. And everybody that was there was pretty impressed how well it went. We had the line all the way backed out to Tuttle Road at one time, and everybody was patient. Everybody was in a good mood, and they were taking 3 or 4 cars at a time and unloading them, getting them out the door. The next 3 or 4 would come in, ask a couple questions, where they're from, showing some proof of identification, so we weren't taking them from all over the state. But we had a lot of people that had a lot of big TVs and a lot of computers, so
Great.
it went very well. And then, as you know, this week is bulky waste cleanup week. That still has become not an easy term to understand for many people. I see lots of, what I'll just say, trash lined around along the roads, 5-gallon buckets, stuff that can fit into a trash bag and a trash can is not bulky. That is waste, that is trash. Couches, chairs, big pieces of furniture, those things are bulky. Those don't fit into a trash bag. That's what bulky waste is supposed to be, not clean out your shed and throw everything out on the front curb. And it's amazing we get through it, but we'll get through it. Probably will spill over to next week like it always does, but the education process just doesn't work. And leaving it at the side of the road, I think people just see if they take it, they take it. If not, I'll deal with it. But it does slow the process down and just basically makes it go into the next week. So if it isn't bulky, please just put it in a trash bag and put it out with your regular trash, not with the bulky waste items. So, and you guys have all said that every year, so this is year 20, so here we go. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Did I miss the battery pickup?
Battery pickup, we don't do, you can drop off car batteries, but most car batteries now are recycled when you have to buy a new one, so I'm not sure.
You can bring those to me. I get $12 a piece for them, so.
There you go.
I'm willing to share that with you. Okay, the next item of business is the public discussion. Public discussion is for comments on items that are not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Rebuttal comments will be limited to 2 minutes. Public discussion topics may be brought up again under new business for further council discussion. Is there anybody here from the public to speak?
It should be on.
Testing? Yeah, we hear you.
I'm Mike Doyle. I live in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I write for and own FalmouthToday.me. I'm I think it's 144,000 hits, Bill, away from 4 million hits this year to date, on a distribution list of 67 names. I have great sources, and my sources from Scarborough have been reporting about the chief's application to be chief of police over there, plus another fellow named John O'Malley. I wrote a story about O'Malley based on complaints that he was never available for backup in the Scarborough Police Department. He was dating 2 women while he was on duty and still married to his wife. I guess they're still married. So I ran a story about them with the picture of him, picture of his wife, picture of the 2 girlfriends. And she was a school bus driver. And my question was, does she carry a sign in her bus that if we're rocking, don't be knocking? Because apparently the police car and the bus got together at different locations throughout the town. Well, he was applying to be the chief of police in Scarborough after Robbie Moulton retired, and Chief Rumsey was also under consideration. And O'Malley eliminated himself because of the article, because according to my sources, the selection committee said if you become chief of police, Doyle's going to rerun the article about you with the 2 women and other things I have information on that I haven't written about yet. And they just said it was just too much to start off in that situation. And I got a letter from Chief Rumsey telling me who I could talk to in this town and under what conditions I could talk to them. And I had to send my emails to Jeff Porter to have him approve them, to send them on to the school board. I don't think his pay grade, Chief Rumsey's pay grade, or Jeff Porter's pay grade, rises to the point where he can tell me who I can communicate with. There's something in the Constitution, I don't know, maybe some of you have read the Constitution or some parts of it, where you're allowed to address grievances to elected officials, unencumbered by other people telling you who you can address the complaint to, or how you can do it, or what you can say in it. It's just something about freedom of speech. I'm not sure if I understand all the ins and outs of it. But the attorney here might know more about it than I do. But I wrote an article about his letter to me, and the article questioned, where's the letter from the chief to the fat midget, Bill DeSere, who attacked my car in the parking lot up at the church during the election thing, slamming his hand on the driver's side window and grabbing at my phone. I told him, I said, if you grab my phone again, I'm going to drop you. And this happened before the police officer came. He called the police, I called the police. No one got arrested, nobody got cited. So where's the letter to him, admonishing him not to do that? What is the letter to the woman from the Cumberland Cafe who was throwing dirt on my side of my driver's door for about 15 minutes? And the chief came up there, saw the pile of dirt next to the door, went in and talked to somebody. Where's the letter that he sent to her not to do that kind of stuff? I don't think he sent one. Well, I wrote the article, and my sources in Scarborough said, we're not going to hire somebody who's already on the wrong side of Doyle. And he eliminated himself from consideration for chief of police in Scarborough by writing that letter to me and having me posted on my website. So my only comment is, you know, if you do stupid stuff, it's going to catch up with you. If you do stuff that is incorrect, but you take advantage of the situation because you're the chief of police in Cumberland, I'm going to print what you do on my website. And currently, I'm just a few thousand hits away from 4 million hits on a distribution list of 67 names. A lot of people read my website all over the country. I'm surprised by it. I'd be happy if 30 people read it. I'm actually stunned that I have that many hits. The average commercial website gets about 8,000 hits. I reserve my last 44 seconds, please. The average commercial website gets 8,000 hits a year, and at one point this year I was getting 8,000 hits per hour. So the amount of people reading my website is substantial. And I would just caution people in this town, Scarborough, or any other town, choose your battles wisely, because if you're not on the right side of the battle, it's going to look bad on my website. And I think Chief Rumsley could have been chief of police in Scarborough, but not with the comment that he's already on the wrong side of me, which of course he is. I mean, I didn't look for a fight with Chief Rumsey, but he sent a letter to me, you know, criticizing my activity and telling me who I can talk to. It doesn't turn out good when you do something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm married to somebody who has incredible recall and memory, and I've been reminded some of the times of things that I shouldn't have said, and hopefully she doesn't print them. Okay. I'm not sure that was something that. Go ahead.
If nothing else, I do my research. And there are no indigenous people to the North American continent or the South American continent. All of them crossed over from Asia on the land bridge across the Bering Sea 20,000 years ago. There were no horses on the North American continent until the Europeans brought them here during the, I don't know if you want to call it the discovery of the New World, but the exploration of the New World. And for us to keep saying that these people are indigenous, they invaded this continent way before the Europeans did, and they took control of it. And what happened was I want to say the industrial age ran up against the Stone Age, and that's how we prevailed over them over a period of centuries. And that's how we wound up running this country, or running this continent. They walked across that bridge, came right down the west side of North America, Central America, into South America over a period of thousands of years. So I don't know who's indigenous here. There were no people in this part of the world until they came across from Asia. And if you check the DNA of any American Indian, it relates back to the DNA in Asia. So I wish people would stop saying indigenous people. There aren't any indigenous people. They came here from Asia. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next item on the business, our meeting this evening is legislation and policy, item 21-103, to hold a public hearing to consider an act on an automobile graveyard permit for Cumberland Salvage for the period of November 1st, 2021 to October 31st, 2022. We had this in our packet last meeting, so the correspondence should have been read twice. This is an annual renewal for the Kopp family up there on Blackstrap, and everybody has signed off on this. There haven't been any junk cars escaping lately, so anybody like to put a motion forward?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead, Shirley.
I move to approve the automobile graveyard permit for Cumberland Salvage for the period of November 1st, 2021 to October 31st, 2022.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? One abstention?
You got it.
One exception. Next item, 21-104, to set a public hearing date of October 25th to consider an act on authorizing the town manager to solicit bids for a tax anticipation note for $2 million as approved in the fiscal year 2022 budget. And if I understand this all correctly, this is basically to finance our bills to the school.
All our bills in general, it's a cash flow thing. I don't think we're going to use it. Right now, Lena and I met for about 3 hours the other day just to kind of go through just cash flow. And I think we're gonna be okay. If we need to do this, we will probably know better closer to January. Right now, we feel very confident, through the calendar year, we're gonna be in good shape. We don't see going out, to solicit a TAN until early this January, and probably not at all. I think we're gonna be in good shape cash-wise, and, obviously, the rescue money does help as well. It was $133,000 that came in, so all of that, said, this is more of a safety net, and, this would be, to solicit bids, and we would hold off most likely until January. All this does is give me the authorization, and the finance director will go out and get the bids, we bring them back to you, if we feel we're in a place where we need them, and we accept we do the lowest bidder, obviously. So, that would happen in late January at the earliest, but right now, I think we're gonna be okay. So I would recommend that you set the public hearing date, to authorize the solicitation of the bids, but I would tell you right now, we probably won't exercise that, and it won't be in the calendar year, and it probably won't be at all, but, this is more of the safety net we talked about during the budget. We didn't think we were gonna be in as good of a position.
What is the typical interest rate that we would pay on that?
Close to 2%.
2%.
So, this is $40,000 that we already have in the budget, to pay for the interest, and that would not be used.
Okay, so a motion is required.
Yes.
Ronnie?
I move to set a public hearing date of October 25th to authorize the solicitation of a tax anticipation note of $2 million as approved by the FY '22 budget.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for unanimous. Thank you. And that brings us to new business.
We actually own the original land. Still,
New business and town council work plan updates. So I think everybody has a meeting, scheduled meeting in front of you. Next Monday, we have a meeting with the Maine State Housing. Mark, do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. So we were able to arrange a meeting here with Mr. Eric Jorgensen, who is the Director of Communications and Government Affairs at Maine State Housing. He and one of his colleagues are going to be joining us on the 18th to talk a little bit about the process of how building a senior care, affordable senior care facility works, how those things are financed, and just kind of a Q&A back and forth session so we can learn more about that process.
Okay, everybody come with plenty of questions. And then there's a finance meeting on October 2nd, 20th, 2 plus a 0, 20. Next council meeting is October 26th,
25th, my bad on that.
25th?
25th.
And then our final meeting with the Maine Intercultural is on the 26th, following day, 4 PM. And then school and select board meeting, and I believe we are going to invite North Yarmouth to that meeting also. So it'd be a three-way meeting with the school board in North Yarmouth. And I believe there's some dates being talked about for the joint standing committee. Allison?
For all, down below.
Down below.
Yep.
We don't have an actual date
Yep.
yet, okay.
Mr. Chair, there really is going to have to be a set schedule for the joint standing
that's what
committee
we're trying
because Lands of Conservation, as well as the similar group that's in North Yarmouth, needs to meet with this group to talk about, different plans that both organizations have, requests that come forward, how they want to be handled, how much of the minutia does.
You unplugged it.
I unplugged it, so. Sorry about that. The Joint Standing Committee, we need to get into a fixed schedule because all the subcommittees on both towns need to meet with them around new trail locations near Knights Pond, other items about cutting new trails and relocating things and policies that are allowed and not allowed inside the park. So if there's nothing on the agenda that's coming up for the committee, then they can cancel the meeting. But if they set the first Monday in, January, April, and August or something, pick 3 months and pick three times. And if people have something, they can bring them forward because a lot of times it's really just about adopting the library and rec budget, and that's the kind of the one and done meeting, and then we really don't hear much more. But in this case, I think we're going to see requests around relocation of a major trail around Knights Pond that I think is significant because of the erosion sedimentation that's going into Knights Pond now. Everybody wants to push the trail back to, it's almost like a logging road that's almost there now. It's probably 75 to 100 feet back from the water's edge. And this is the primary trail. They're not doing anything with hunting or anything else around there. It's more about the actual, the walking trail that's probably closer to 25 feet to the water right now. So that was the big request. And then they said, as these items come up, how much does the Joint Standing Committee want to do, or how much could they delegate to trails commissions or trail committees, because we already have standards that you guys have adopted. Do we want to see if North Yarmouth can adopt those too? And if they do, then maybe this group, along with North Yarmouth, could get together and do the actual implementation of that. So that's really all they asked for, but it's, I think the schedule would work. And if we didn't have a reason to meet, we wouldn't meet. So.
Do we have a date yet for the council meeting with the Lands and Conservation Commission yet?
Those dates will probably go out this week. They'll be in November. That's when the commission would like to meet with the council on, basically, they said a non-council meeting night. So that's where we're going to try to shoot for, try to get some holes in your schedules as well.
All right, so, Mark, anything to add?
Thank you. I think just on a couple different initiatives in terms of work plans. We have a meeting, or at least a conference call on the 13th between Ron Kopp and the town manager and myself to kind of go through the current list of businesses in Cumberland, just get a better idea of who those businesses are, where they're located, whether it's a business operating out of somebody's home or whether it's a separate taxable entity, as well as kind of in the long run where there are other locations where future businesses might settle. So that call is on the 13th. We also in terms of the senior property tax assistance program, I'll call it at this point, Counselor Eads and Counselor Gruber and myself are still working on that. I had a meeting, a call with the town manager and the director of finance, Helene, on the 30th of last month to really get into the weeds of the kind of tax accounting software to see how we might be able to better track potential changes in how tax bills go out and whether things are frozen at a particular rate. Again, we haven't gone into a lot of details openly about this, but it's I think moving forward to the stage that I'm hopeful that we'll have something better to present to the council in the coming weeks. So.
Shirley?
Sure. Ordinance Committee met prior to this meeting, and we are getting close enough with our marijuana ordinance to share it with the town attorneys now for some cleaning up. And then we, after we meet with them, we'll bring it to you and we'll look for a public hearing for that. Library advisory, I reported about that last time, but since our meeting last week, I know Tom Foley, who's chair of the advisory committee, and Thomas Bennett have met and discussed putting together a budget that's more informative for us, related to their needs, to budget in a thoughtful way and to better serve the public and meet the needs of our patrons. I think they're looking to come to the town council maybe in December before we begin our budget process, so they can explain, where they're at and where they'd like to be. Very active group. That's all I have.
In the spirit of the Red Sox, I'm not gonna say much, so that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Allison?
Just wanted to make everyone aware, since we'll be planting the North Yarmouth Hope Garden tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the community center. So I know there were those from North Yarmouth that joined us in planting the Cumberland one, so I am saying it here, because if you weren't able to join that and would like to be a part of it, to learn a little more about the Yellow Tulip Project and just get your hands dirty, please feel free to come and join us at 6 o'clock at the North Yarmouth Community Center. That's all I had.
It's a great picture of you in the forecaster, by the way.
Thank you.
Mike?
No, other than Allison's great statement on the indigenous people, I think it was needed and I think it was right, so I'm glad you did it. Other than that, pass.
Well, the Cumberland Fair's been over for 2 weeks, so I want Bill Stiles to know I'm gonna keep it rolling, so here's my $20 for next year, Bill. Just a question, we have a meeting, you and I and Mark, on the 13th. Are we doing that Zoom still, or are we gonna meet in person?
It's up to you
I
guys.
think it was Zoom.
Okay.
I think it was
It
Zoom.
makes
If
no
you're- if
difference
you're
to
all right
me,
with that.
so.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine, yep. Just so my secretary at home keeps it straight. And that's all I have, so you guys can go home and watch the Red Sox.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, we didn't hear how successful the manager was at buying things.
That was I forgot all about that, Shirley, but
Insanity.
Yeah,
I've
let's
never
hear it.
seen the prices as high. The kids did amazingly well. The prices for pork went over $5 a pound. That's the first time I've seen that in over 10 years. So that was absolutely amazing. And I couldn't even buy, I was only able to buy a steer and 2 pigs. So we basically, we did very well to do that. And Mr. Link Merrill from North Yarmouth, if you see him, kick him or do something, because he and I were doing this back and forth, the prices just kept going up and up and up and up. And I was lucky to get 2. I was just very lucky. I mean, it was great for the kids. It was really exciting. It was a really good turnout. And I'm just hoping it continues, because those kids work hard, and it's always amazing, and it's always great to see that even the kids at the tail end of the auction are doing well. A lot of times the bidders have left and there's only a handful of people bidding, so I usually try to wait to closer to the end, only just to try to keep the prices up for the kids. Because if they're only getting, $2 a pound and stuff, it's it's kind of hard to even break even for them. So I don't think anybody went under $3.50, and most of the prices were over $4. And toward the end, it was just crazy. It was over $5. I'd say, this is nuts. So it was great. It was a great fair. Lyle did an awesome job. There were just so many good people there, and it was really, really good for 4-H, and it was great for the kids. So thanks for asking. So.
My only couple of comments, the roads are looking good. Do we know when they'll stripe Main Street?
That's the DOT, not the town, so I don't know.
They managed to get Route 9 striped.
Yeah, because it was contracted. It wasn't just DOT.
They can't get paint.
Yeah,
The
white,
painting crews, the state
None.
painting crews are shut down. They can't get paint.
that's right. Absolute shortage of white paint and yellow paint now, and
Sounds like a
they
new
can't get
client.
anything. It doesn't make any sense, but
Allison?
I was remiss to not acknowledge and to thank you for my bicycle signs. So they are now up at the 2 railway crossings. All three of them. That bikes can use the full lane, so I
Lifetime
appreciate it.
Achievement Award has been accomplished.
Yeah, it's been
so thank you.
accomplished. Thank you. So, yes.
Where's the crossings at, Bill?
They're close. We have to do a couple more things. Crooker 1 has to get out of that corner lot on Crossroad because you could actually ride a car right up through there now if you wanted to. So we have to deal with that. We're probably weeks away from the notice that basically puts them on notice that they have 21 days to comply. So we're hopeful that they're going to be wrapping up soon so they get out of that yard and we can somehow barricade that so people aren't going around there. And then we have to give them the final traffic counts, and that's what we're working on right now. So I'm thinking I'm hoping by December 1st.
Okay, that's it. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor? We stand adjourned.
Before everybody leaves, I just want to fill everybody in.